The night smelled of smoke and blood. The idols stood tall against the dark sky, wooden gods with hollow eyes, while the fire below crackled and spat. Horror spread around the people. Men shouted, some in triumph and some in horror. At the center of it stood Vladimir the Great, a pagan prince, watching as sacrifices were prepared. According to later texts, even human lives were offered to these old gods. Whether the history was written by those who won or those who lost, one thing is certain. Vladimir ruled in a world full of violence, fear, and spiritual uncertainty. And in that moment, surrounded by rituals meant to secure power, he faced a deeper question. Which god, if any, truly held the power? In that dark night begins one of the most consequential transformations in European history. Vladimir was born in 958. He was the son of Sviatoslav, ruler of the Kievan Rus, a vast and growing realm centered in what is today's Ukraine. When Vladimir came to power in 980, he was not yet the saint that history would remember. He was ambitious, strategic, and ruthless. He consolidated power through warfare and political maneuvering, even killing rivals, including his own brother, to secure his rule. At this stage, Vladimir was a devoted pagan. He erected statues to Slavic gods, such as Perun, the thunder god. He did this to unite his people under a common religious framework. But paganism, though deeply rooted, lacked the centralized structure and international prestige of the monotheistic religions surrounding the Kievan Rus. As his power grew, so did his awareness of the wider world. To the south stood the mighty Byzantine Empire, a central for wealth, culture, and Christianity. To the east and south were Muslim territories. To the west, Latin Christianity was spreading. Religion was just not belief at the time, it was diplomacy, identity, and power. According to many historical sources, Vladimir began to explore these competing faiths. Envoys were sent to observe different religions. Islam, Western Christianity, Judaism, and Eastern Orthodoxy were observed and studied. The reports were striking. Islam was rejected, mostly because of its stance towards alcohol. Vladimir is said to have remarked that drinking is the joy of the Rus. Judaism was associated with people who had lost their homeland, which made Vladimir think of it as politically weak. But when his representatives visited Constantinople and witnessed the liturgy in the great church of Hagia Sophia, everything changed. They said, "We did not know whether we were in heaven or on earth." Vladimir's conversion was not only spiritual but also political. He entered into an alliance with the Byzantine emperors Basil II and Constantine VIII. In exchange for military assistance during a rebellion, Vladimir agreed to convert to Christianity and marry Basil's sister, Anna, an extraordinary honor, as Byzantine princesses rarely married foreign rulers. Before the marriage, Vladimir had to be baptized. According to tradition, he traveled to the city of Chersonesus in Crimea, where he underwent baptism. Some accounts describe him as being struck temporarily blind before the baptism and then regaining his sight immediately after he had been baptized, a sign of spiritual rebirth. Vladimir's conversion was a profound turning point. He abandoned paganism and embraced Orthodoxy, aligning his realm with the culture and religious spheres of Byzantium. After his conversion, Vladimir did something unprecedented. He ordered the mass conversion of his people. In Kiev, he commanded that the pagan idols which were worshipped be destroyed. The statue of Perun was dragged through the streets and thrown into the Dnieper River. Priests stood ready as people entered the water, men, women, and children. Many prayers were recited, and the population of the Kievan Rus was formally introduced to Christianity. This was not some gradual process over many years, this was a swift and quick process. While some accepted the conversion faithfully, others had resisted or blended old beliefs with new ones. Conversion on this scale was complex and uneven, but the direction was irreversible. Churches were built and the clergy were brought from Byzantium. Education and art began to develop under the Orthodox influence, and the cultural transformation of the Kievan Rus were in progress. But this did not change at the borders of this realm. The rivers that ran through Kievan Rus were not just waters, they were roads. Trade routes, stretching from the Baltic Sea down to Byzantium, carried not only goods, but ideas. Among those traveling these routes were Norse warriors and traders, men who would later be called Varangians. They came from the north, from the land we now call Scandinavia. They served as mercenaries, merchants, and explorers. Some even became part of the Varangian Guard in Constantinople. In the Nordic countries, most people were warriors and traders, essentially Vikings who traveled extensively across Eastern Europe and served in Kievan Rus and Byzantium, where they got a deeper understanding of the true Orthodox Christian faith. These men did not just fight and trade, they observed, they learned. They saw churches unlike anything in the north. They saw rituals filled with incense, icons, and chanting. They saw a faith that was organized, powerful, and deeply tied to empire. When they returned home, they did not always come back the same. Some had been baptized, others carried stories of the great churches and the power of the Christian God. Slowly, these ideas spread, not through a single ruler like Vladimir forcing it, but through contact, influence, and time. This conversion process overlapped with the broader Christianization of the Nordic countries, which was already underway through contacts with the Western Latin Europe. King Olaf II of Norway played a major role in converting Norway, while Denmark and Sweden followed their own paths. Missionaries came from the south. Kings saw political advantage in joining the Christian world, and the old gods, much like Kievan Rus, slowly began to fade. Vladimir became a bridge between Byzantium and the northern world. Through trade, warfare, and diplomacy, Christianity spread along these routes, not by direct command, but by influence, by connection, by the movement of people between the two worlds. Vladimir's decision reshaped the entire region. By adopting Eastern Orthodoxy, the Kievan Rus entered the Byzantine cultural sphere, which set a spark of iconography and the development of Church Slavonic. Laws began to reflect Christian values, writing systems developed, chronicles were written, and identity itself began to change. More importantly, it established a religious identity that continues to shape Europe today. The divide between Eastern Orthodoxy and Western Roman Catholicism, and even Protestantism, would later become one of the defining features of European history, and Vladimir stood at the center of that turning point. Vladimir himself also changed. Later accounts emphasize his transformation from a harsh pagan ruler to a more just and charitable Christian prince. He is said to have cared for the poor, established schools, and promoted moral reforms. Whether every detail is perfectly accurate or not, the image remains powerful. A ruler who once ruled through fear, now trying to rule with faith. After his death in 1015, Vladimir was canonized as a saint, known as Saint Vladimir or Vladimir the Great. He is honored as equal to the apostles, a title given to those who played a foundational role in spreading Christianity. His legacy did not end with his life. It continued through the lands he transformed, through the people he influenced, and through the faith he chose. And if we return to that first night, the fire, the idols, the fear, it becomes something more than just a scene of darkness. It becomes the beginning of a question that would lead a pagan prince to baptism, a ruler to become a saint, and a divided world to take one step closer to something new.